Hello and welcome to a video on New World and its combat. The combat's quite unique and different from a lot of MMOs at the moment, so it's pretty interesting to go over. So I'm going to quickly break down what the video is going to cover and then we'll get into it. So first of all, I'm going to go over the attribute and the weapon masteries. Second, I'm going to talk a bit about blocking and dodging and how that kind of works in the game. Very much like Dark Souls in that sense. And the third is going to be about attack and weapon types, so heavy attack, light attacks, and the different types of weapons. So attributes and weapon masteries. Essentially you'll have 5 different attributes. You got strength, dexterity, intelligence, focus, and constitution. So essentially these are pretty much the same as you'd get in RPGs, so akin to like Skyrim or something like that. For example, strength. If you put points into strength, you're essentially pretty much increasing the damage you're doing with two-handed weapons. And then on the contrast, you've got intelligence, which is obviously going to be something that a mage would more likely use than someone who's trying to use a one-handed weapon or something melee based. So moving on to weapon masteries, pretty much you have access to any weapon that's in the game and you can swap out at will. So essentially you could go from a one-handed sword person, whatever you want to call it, and then go over to being a mage with a staff. Each weapon has a talent tree. So you have active abilities and passive abilities, and essentially you'll level up each individual weapon to get points. Each weapon is akin to sort of World of Warcraft, where you'll use it to actually level the weapon itself, which is going to give you the abilities and the passives. So it's kind of like the old days of having to grind out a weapon if you want to change class, since this game has no classes. So Healing Pulse is a ability, an active ability. Basically it just heals you a little bit. Here's a clip to show it off. So going back to the talent tree, you're also going to have these passive abilities, which are pretty much self-explanatory. They're just going to enhance the abilities that you already have or give you certain attributes or advantages. For example, Peacemaker is pretty much just going to heal 50% more from your Healing Pulse, which pretty much enhances your current ability that you're going to have, almost like a passive effect. So moving on to blocking and dodging. Pretty much blocking is going to be something that you use when your abilities are down as a filler. Blocking everything will pretty much block every attack from an enemy, so you won't take any damage from that enemy. If you're block broken, you will lose the ability to block for a while. So here you can see that the wolf is draining my stamina, and then pretty much as soon as I'm block broken, I get knocked back, and then you can't block anymore until your stamina is reset. So when it comes to dodging, it's pretty much self-explanatory. You can pretty much just press spacebar and you'll dodge the attacks. You do have to time it, very much akin to how Dark Souls works with the attack animation. So you time it and then you can just pretty much dodge the attack completely if you manage to time it. Another thing you can do is you can also sprint and jump, which is essentially a dodge roll as well. You can use that to jump over gaps. So holding shift in general is going to be something you can use to do maneuverable abilities. But obviously the stamina bar at the bottom does deplete as you do those. So if you go to no stamina, it does take some time to regen over a period of time. Moving on to attacking and weapon types. Essentially you'll have different types of weapons from one-handed to two-handed, but this here is a one-handed sword and shield. This is a bit of footage to just demonstrate how that kind of works. So next up's going to be the axe, which you can't actually use shield with, but it's much quicker than the sword. So moving on to magic now. It's quite interesting, this one, because it's slightly different, but majority of it is the same. It has a heavy and a light attack, and then you have your AoE abilities and your instant cast abilities. Some of those you have to cast, for example this Rain of Fire here. So now moving on to the life staff. This one's a little bit different as well, because it's essentially playing as a healer type hybrid DPS kind of class. So essentially you have your healing abilities, and most of the time, unless you're specced into the other tree which has damage abilities, it's quite difficult to actually kill mobs on your own. So moving on now, we got the Warhammer. This is the only two-handed weapon that there currently is at the moment. It's the slowest attacking weapon as well. It does the most damage, but it does have some nice abilities such as a knockback and a fissure, which slows and actually looks really, really cool. So now we've got the first of the two ranged weapons that exist in the game, this being the bow. Each of the ranged weapons uses a ammunition type as well, so you do have to purchase those. But this is the bow, and it's quite nice. It does seem to do a lot more damage than the musket as well, which is kind of strange, but some of the abilities are quite nice. And lastly, we got the musket, which is the coolest thing in the game, because it's actually the only gun in the game at the moment as well, and it kind of fits the theme that they're going with the sort of new world type era. You see you can bend down and hold the gun like that and just fire it, but it doesn't seem to do a lot of damage in comparison to the other weapon, the other ranged weapon, the bow, which is a little bit strange since it is a gun, but it does work quite nice. As you can see here, the F ability is play dead, which I thought was quite funny, because you can essentially just reset aggro. So guys, that wraps up the video. If you did enjoy the video, please hit that old subscribe button and give it a like. I do stream over at Twitch, currently streaming New World, Guild Wars, and occasionally World of Warcraft with the occasional variety, so also check that out at twitch.tv/SirLagalot. And yeah guys, hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.